Welcome to Retirement Decoded with your host, Scott Tucker, where we break down the complexities of retirement planning to give you clear, actionable advice. Whether you're just starting out or getting ready to retire, Scott's here to help you make informed decisions and secure your financial future. Tune in each week as we simplify the process and decode the path to a stress-free retirement. Now, here's your host, Scott Tucker.
And we're back. Welcome back to Retirement Decoded with Scott Tucker. I'm your host, Scott Tucker. My trusty co-host, as most of the time, is Associate Advisor Andre Hootie. Say hello, Andre Hootie.
Hello, Andre Hootie.
Now, Andre Hootie, we've got one of the listeners of the podcast writes into the program today, and she wants to ask us a question about. This is a softball. You sure this Laura that wrote in the program? Sure, that's not like your sister or something.
It's Lauren. She just took the
Laura. Oh, your wife instead of Lauren. It's Laura. This is a softball from Laura. Laura says, "Scott, I'm 55 years of age. My husband is 60. We are still working. Do we need a financial planner or a financial advisor? Thank you." And I don't really think she really means or. I think she just means, hey, do we need one of these people?
Right. If you want to save retirement, if you want to know where you're headed, I'd say yeah.
So let's talk about, of course, we're financial planners. So, of course, we're biased. We think everybody needs us and we're terrific, right? Yeah. Well, let's talk about if you're 55 and 60, maybe what you might miss if you don't have a financial planner.
Okay.
That might be a way to do it.
Yeah.
Because me just saying, yeah, you ought to have one, that's about as believable as nothing.
Right. And, yeah, but when you know what you didn't know, maybe it'll open up your eyes a little bit.
Well, because you don't know what you don't know, right,
exactly.
Andre?
Yeah.
That's right. So if you're 55, you're a 55-year-old lady, Laura, and then your husband is 60, and we do help same-sex couples. I always say that so everybody feels welcome. So a 55-year-old woman married to a 60-year-old man, they're both still working, and it sounds like they don't have a financial planner, and they're asking if they need one. So, Andre, what do you think at age 55 might folks not be aware of that they need to get a handle on so they can retire?
Well, to start, you can start doing Roth conversions at any age, at any income, and any amount. So if you're not doing tax planning before retirement, at 40 or 50 or whatever age, you can start.
Now, a Roth conversion can have many tax-related consequences.
Right.
So we want to talk about that. We just want to have Laura go out there and do it.
Well, this is why you need a professional that knows the rules.
Yeah. That might be a thing too, Laura. If you're 55, your husband's 60, you're still working, and I don't mean this the wrong way. If you have to ask, do we need a financial planner? That sounds like you probably need a financial planner. You at least need to have one. You can have one free meeting with just about any financial planner you want.
Yeah.
There are financial planners that charge large planning fees and things, but even they will give you a free meeting.
Yeah. And
we would as well. Laura, you can always go to tuckerretirement.com, see our phone calendar, and we'll spend 15 minutes for free with you and your husband over the telephone in the coming week. I think just that one meeting probably can be really eye-opening, so you can at least see what are your blind spots. Everybody has blind spots. Yep. So, Laura, I might ask you, what is your plan for taxes and retirement? Andre, what do people tell us all the time about taxes and retirement?
Oh, they're going to be lower, Scott.
Or they might think they're not even going to have any.
Yeah, I won't have taxes in retirement. What do you mean?
Yeah, and they go, "What do you mean, my property taxes?" No. I'm talking about taxes on tax deferred retirement accounts as one example.
Right.
How about taxes on IRA, 401k, 403b, deferred comp, TSP, SEP, Simple, KEO? Here's another one, Andre. How about taxes on your Social Security?
Oh, nobody ever talks about that.
No, and then we're in Chicago, and we're federally licensed. We help folks all over the country. Okay, we're federally licensed, but all the time people tell us in Chicagoland, well, Illinois doesn't tax Social Security.
Well, no, they don't.
Yeah, so Illinois doesn't tax Social Security. Now some states do or can, but now, Andre, who can tax up to 85% of your Social Security when you're retired and you're not even working?
Our friends in Washington, the IRS.
The Eternal Revenue System. Mm-hmm. Eternal?
It's eternal, forever.
The ERS? So the IRS, and we really got to blame our congressfolk.
All of them.
I was going to say congressmen, but I didn't want to get anybody triggered.
Yeah, just blame all of them.
If you're triggered, go to tuckerretirement.com, get our phone calendar, we'll counsel you on it. So our Social Security, no matter what state you live in, even if you live overseas even. So let's say you retire with a whole bunch of assets and tax deferred, like IRA, 401k. You get in your 70s, and the IRS makes you start taking money out, even if you're out of the country, so you can pay federal income taxes, and then the federal government can turn around and tax up to 85% of your Social Security.
No.
So, Laura, do you need a financial planner? Yeah, probably.
Yeah, probably.
If you have to ask.
Well, here's one of my other favorite ones on Social Security, especially for people that have never worked with a planner, an advisor, never really worked with a professional that knows the rules. When it comes to Social Security, it's a lot of, I find this a lot of times with the do-it-yourselfers. They go online, they find some tax advantage strategies of what to invest in, and they come across this triple tax-free leveraged bond fund of something, and it's you're not getting taxed. And a lot of times, these are municipal bonds. You get them from your local governments, and they look great on the surface. And for somebody that doesn't know all the rules and regulations on the back end, it doesn't look like there's any taxes. But when it comes around to it, they ask about your tax-free interest on your 1040 for a reason.
So right on line 2A of your federal 1040, that's where you have to declare your tax-free interest, your tax-exempt interest. And as Andre just said, tax-free interest, a lot of times people get tax-free municipal bonds. Now, tax-free municipal bonds, they can be issued by your state government or a unit of government within your state or your territory or whatever. So you can get tax-free municipal bonds, but the problem is that tax-free interest gets reported by that municipal bond entity to the IRS. So the IRS already knows you got it. Mm-hmm. Then on line 2A, the IRS wants to see if you'll admit to it. Because if you omit to it, then you've committed tax evasion and wire fraud, perhaps mail fraud, a whole bunch of things.
Al Capone.
That's how they got Al Capone, because he had muni bonds.
Exactly.
Oh, boy. If you have muni bonds, go to tuckerretirement.com. So the tax-free interest from these triple tax-free municipal bonds, the IRS knows you got the tax-free interest, and then they want to see if you're going to put it on line 2A of your federal 1040. And if you do, or if you don't, either way, because they already know about it, and then you're on Social Security. So the tax-free municipal bonds, if you're buying them from the state of Illinois, look out, or Chicago Public Schools or Cook County Forest Preserve, whatever. These entities are all of questionable financial integrity. They might not, there's always, every year there's one or two school districts go bankrupt and they can discharge their bondholders, just as one example. Isn't that pleasant? And Chicago Public Schools have been issuing junk bonds for a few years now.
Well, entire cities can go bankrupt.
Well,
worried about
we had a gentleman at a workshop. We taught a workshop in Des Plaines, Illinois at Oakton College at the Des Plaines campus. And we had a gentleman say, well, yeah, but has CPS, has Chicago Public Schools ever gone bankrupt? And I said, sir, do you remember when the city of Detroit went bankrupt?
It never went bankrupt before that.
And what happened when Detroit went to bankruptcy court, their original position was, we want to reduce our pensions by 90%. And then we'll be able to pay our pensions. Isn't that nice?
Yeah, I mean, as long as you can change the rules in the fourth quarter, then why not?
Hey, I'll give you 10 cents on the dollar, and then I can pay you. I just can't pay you $1. I can pay you 10 cents
because everybody's going to take that deal.
Hey, if you could retire with a wheelbarrow full of dimes, boy oh boy. So yeah, Laura, you're 55, your husband's 60, you're still working. Do you need a financial planner? Probably. And it might just be one meeting, and then it might be another meeting 5 years later or something. But you guys are getting in the wheelhouse. Him being 60 already. Now, the good thing about him being 60, Andre, is we could do things like in-service rollovers from 401ks to IRAs. Mm-hmm. We could do Roth conversions at age 59, and we do all this at 59 and a half. That's why I say it's going to be 60. At age 59 and a half, not only can we do a Roth conversion, but we could even withhold the federal income tax from the IRA to pay the tax on the Roth conversion, and we would incur no 10% penalty for early withdrawal. That's a whole, boy, is that, yeah, Laura, you just need a financial planner, because nobody wants to listen to this nonsense.
No, and it's like, sometimes it feels like you're just listening to a textbook being read with all these rules and things to watch out for.
That's
these
horrible.
pitfalls. Like,
nobody wants to listen to this nonsense. This podcast, I tell you what, I'm not sure. So Roth conversions, taxes in retirement, taxes on Social Security, tax-free municipal bonds. So if you have enough tax-free interest from tax-free municipal bonds on line 2A of your federal 1040, it can, what you have listed when you're on Social Security is on line 6A. You have your Social Security benefits received, which again, Andre, the IRS already knows you got it.
Right.
Because Social Security and the IRS, they carpool.
The only person you're fooling is your CPA if you don't tell them.
Yeah. You're not you're not going to fool the IRS.
No, they know. It's already in a ledger.
They already know.
Yeah.
So your tax-free interest from your mini bonds has to go on line 2A because the IRS already got told about it. So are you going to fess up? Yes, you are. You better. And then it's like you get in trouble at school. You better run home and tell your mom.
Right.
When I was in middle school and high school, a couple times, Mom, we got to talk before Mrs. Nasri calls. Or before, these just, before you hear from the school.
Well, the punishment's going to be less if you're the one that fesses up.
Well, my mom always said, you don't sit here and act like nothing happened. Then I get a call tomorrow at work that, this morning you were about, whatever. So I was like, she said, come clean right away. It'll be better for you.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah,
it's true.
My dad wasn't around when I was a kid much because my parents were divorced when I was 2 and he didn't pay child support and all this stuff. And so my mom got to be the mom and the dad, and she was pretty stern, which was good because now it depends who you ask. I turned out the way I turned out, Andre.
You turned out pretty good.
Well, I tell you, for a single mother product,
she did a great job.
It's got to be hard to do all that as one person.
Oh, I can't even imagine.
Oh, geez. So the IRS already knows you got the tax-free interest. The IRS already knows how much you got from Social Security, and they want to see if you're going to fess up to it. But on line 2A, you put your tax-free interest from your municipal bonds there on line 2A. That goes into a formula called provisional income. The IRS doesn't explain this on your federal 1040. But on line 2A, whatever you put on line 2A, it goes in a calculation called provisional income. So they count that tax-exempt interest. They count half of your Social Security that's on line 6A. Then they can also count distributions from IRAs and 401ks and things and required minimum distributions and all this. And then on line 6B, you might find that line 6B is as high as 85% of line 6A. So line 6B, it can be 85% of line 6A. Line 6A is your Social Security benefits received. Line 6B can be the percentage tax. So the percentage taxed on line 6B can equal up to 85% of what was on 6A, the Social Security you received. So, Laura, do you need a financial planner? Oh, geez. Yeah. All roads lead to yes.
For just as from the standpoint of somebody's going to open up your eyes to something that you really didn't know because that's not your specialty. But even just thinking, we were talking about this at the office a couple weeks ago. That Vanguard study. What was that number they said?
Oh, yeah, there was a Vanguard study done a couple years ago. And Vanguard, who's famous for low-cost mutual funds, and we'll give you a free financial planner, which I don't like that because they're out of Pennsylvania. Good company and all, but they're out of Pennsylvania. Then their advisor can be out of who knows where.
Yeah.
Like who knows where, Arizona, and you live in Chicago. Or the advisor could be out of Chicago and you live in Hawaii. And it's just not super ideal. Mm-hmm. And you might get that advisor time after time, or they might change them on you.
Yeah,
right.
More often than not,
but even Vanguard said, who doesn't charge a bunch of money for a financial planner, would probably be your low cost leader for financial planning, which your life savings low cost leader. I don't know as far as the financial planning aspect of it. And we use Vanguard funds for certain parts of portfolios and clients and things, but Vanguard isn't the answer to every question. One thing I don't like about them or any other is when every fund is a Vanguard fund. That's not ideal.
Yeah.
It ought to be the best for the asset class, for the portfolio that we're trying to fill. So sometimes we use Vanguard, sometimes we use Fidelity, sometimes we use Schwab, sometimes we use First Trust, whatever the best is for the client under a fiduciary standard as investment advisor representatives. So, but even Vanguard, who doesn't charge a ton of money for financial planning or any of that, they give a lot of folks just the financial planning for free in that. Vanguard has said that the value of a financial planner is equal to on average, about 3% per year to the client in their portfolio. So avoiding unnecessary income taxes, avoiding unnecessary losses. Maybe some folks are too careful and take a little bit more risk, or just a tiny little bit, get more return. But the Vanguard study said, and they're not a slimy outfit or anything like that. They came back and said, hey, it's an investment a financial planner is worth about 3% per year to the client, and even if it's not a Vanguard advisor.
Yeah.
Right? They weren't trying to toot their own horn or skew things there. So, yeah, Laura, I think whether it's us or somebody else, you definitely ought to, I think you probably want to talk to at least one financial planner. And if you get a warm fuzzy, that's great. If you don't, then talk to two more. Or, 1, 2, 3 of them, something like that. If you talk to 3 of them, you ought to find somebody you like working with. Your husband already being age 60, and I don't want to age you, Laura, but if you're 55, 4.5 years from now, you are 59 and a half. And you guys are getting really in the wheelhouse where you're wanting to, I can already tell from the question, you already want to start thinking about retirement. And then on top of that, since he's already 59 and a half and you'll be there sometime later, you have a whole bunch of financial planning opportunities available to you that could really, we would use those to try to potentially minimize your lifetime income taxes. And also, you didn't see if you have kids, but we also, if there's any money left over, which there ought to be, Andre, nobody wants to die broke.
No, they do not.
So if you don't die broke, you're going to leave money behind.
Yeah.
And so if you're gonna leave it behind, usually it's going to be the kids, grandkids, nieces, nephews, siblings, somebody. You want to leave behind tax-free money.
Yeah.
Now, some people say, well, if I'm going to leave it to the kids, they can pay the taxes. They're going to pay the taxes with your money.
But keep in mind, they are also making their own income. But they're paying the taxes on their income.
Well, they better be. If they're not working and they're in your basement, don't leave them any money.
Yeah, that's also true.
Get them out. Get them out now.
Yeah. Make them living.
We should start a website, getoutnow.com. We should start a service where we remove the kids from the basement.
Yeah, exactly. Make them earn a living.
So but I was going to say, so we've got, so we don't want to die broke, so we're going to leave something behind. We leave something behind, it's better to leave a tax-free legacy than a legacy of income taxes. You don't want your grandkids to say, hey, Dad, what did Grandpa leave us? Whatever, whoever left us. Oh, they're unpaid federal income taxes. That's not
the best gift you can give.
But also, Laura, if you and your husband do tax planning now to potentially eliminate taxes, 5 years from now, maybe you get to where you have, if you're retired, you could get potentially to where you have no federal, no state income taxes if you start tax planning today. And then you have less taxes and eventually no taxes, income taxes potentially in retirement to pay. Then the money you don't run out of is left behind maybe to your kids. If you have kids, you didn't tell us. And now the kids can get that money tax-free. And under the Secure Act of 2019, if they receive Roth money, they can also grow that money tax-free 10 more years after you're gone. Now, there's a legacy, Andre.
Yeah, that's a great legacy.
Let's not have a legacy of we're all losers and we pay a bunch of taxes we don't have to pay.
Yeah, seriously.
How about a tax-free legacy? Plus, we're winners and we get to grow money tax-free 10 more years after mom and dad are gone.
Perfect. Then that's a worthy legacy, in my opinion.
Yeah. You don't want to have one of these legacies that my mom and dad left me a mess.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Now, Laura, one other thing I do want to say here, because we hear this quite often, where people go and they're just working with an advisor for the first time or looking for one, and they go and search here and there, and they talk to 2 or 3 or 4, and they find an investment advisor, they find a tax advisor, they find an insurance advisor, they find a Medicare advisor. Right? You don't want to do that. Don't make your life harder. Make it simpler. Find one person that can handle all of the key areas for you that need to be handled, and and that you like them, that you work well with them, and just stick with them. Don't do this whole different advisors. Yeah,
we just did a workshop that was in Park Ridge, Illinois, at the O'Connor Community Building, and we met a nice gentleman there. He heard us on our radio show. If you don't get enough insanity for this thing, we also have a radio show. You can always listen to that at 560replay.com. But he came to see us at the office, and the guy is great. And he and his wife saved a bunch of money. And his wife is a teacher, and she had to stay at school because there was a discipline problem, we'll say, at school, right? She teaches in the city of Chicago, so sometimes there's discipline problems.
Yeah. And
sometimes the police are involved, and you have to stay late. So anywho, that's a tough profession. That's a good job for somebody else. So now, but the gentleman, they saved a couple $1 million, and he says, oh, so I've got this investment person over here. And then I have this life insurance person over here. And then I got a guy for this and I got a guy for that. And this isn't like a mob movie. I got a guy for this and I got a guy for that. And he wasn't even Italian. I think he was Polish. But we have a lot, if you're not from Chicagoland, we have a lot of Polish folks. In Chicago, the 3 big languages, I'm not being funny, the 3 big languages in Chicago are English, Spanish, and Polish are the most common languages. But, and he's, not off the boat or whatever, as they say. He's been here, but he still sort of had this attitude that maybe he's a little bit older than me. Maybe he grew up in the late 70s, early 80s, something like that. Mm-hmm. I kind of say that I was born in 73. I kind of grew up in the 80s. I'm 51 now. He's a little bit older than me, so he'd probably say he grew up in the late 70s, early 80s. And sometimes you learn this from your dad or your grandpa or somebody, or just this is how people in our family do things. We have an investment person, we have a life insurance person, we have they got a this and I got a that, and they don't talk to each other. And it doesn't, at some point you want your socks to match. So we handle investment management, for securities and all that, We handle, this is not toot our horn, but what you might want to find with any advisor you'd want to work with. Do they handle investments? Do they handle tax planning for retirement? Do they handle health insurance under age 65? Do they handle Medicare for 65 plus? Do they handle legacy planning? Are they knowledgeable in wills, trusts, Medicaid asset protection trusts, pour over wills and all that? Now, we're not attorneys, but we are very knowledgeable in those, and we do work with a couple of law firms for those. And then the other thing you want to see is, are they knowledgeable about Social Security planning and also how to get your Social Security potentially free from federal income taxes? So whether it's us or somebody else, that's what you want to look for. I don't want to make that sound super promotional. I just want you to find, Laura, that you, and it might not even be Laura. You know what might happen? It might be her husband might be stubborn because Laura is asking for her and her husband.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's stubborn, but it can happen sometimes.
We see it all the time.
Yeah.
One person's ready to do something, the other person's just not.
And sometimes it's vice versa. Sometimes the hubby's not ready to go and the wife has got the brakes on. And that's normal too. There's nothing wrong with that. But this is Retirement Decoded with Scott Tucker and my sidekick, Andre Hootie. What you could do, you could share the podcast on social media. You could text it to a friend. You could email it to somebody. Give us a thumbs up or a 5-star or whatever the heck you do. If you want to get on our phone calendar, 15 minutes for free in the coming week with one of our financial planners, we'll talk over the phone. We can help you anywhere in the country from our offices here in Chicago. And maybe, I can't offer an inducement. I don't think the clients will like it. Maybe one day we FedEx you a Lou Malnati's butter crust deep dish pizza. Sausage pizza. Yeah, that's right. Okay, maybe not. Maybe compliance can yell at me because I'm offering pizzas. We'll put it in the gift log, so we're compliant with the SEC. Well, it's been fun. It's been real. It's been real fun. We'll talk to you on the next podcast. This is Retirement Decoded with Scott Tucker. We'll talk to you next time.
Scott Tucker Solutions, Inc. has a strategic partnership with tax professionals and attorneys who can provide tax and or legal advice. Neither the firm nor its agents or representatives may give tax or legal advice. Individuals should consult with a qualified professional for guidance before making any purchasing decisions. A Roth conversion is a taxable event and may have several tax-related consequences. Be sure to consult with a qualified tax advisor before making any decisions regarding your IRA. The views and opinions herein are those of Scott Tucker Solutions, Inc. and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of AE Wealth Management, LLC. Investment advisory services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC. AEWM and Scott Tucker Solutions, Inc. are not affiliated companies. Insurance products are offered through the insurance business Scott Tucker Solutions, Inc. Scott Tucker Solutions, Inc. is an investment advisory practice that offers products and services through AE Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor. AEWM does not offer insurance products. The insurance products offered by Scott Tucker Solutions, Inc. are not subject to investment advisor requirements. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing carrier. This podcast is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual's situation. Scott Tucker Solutions, Inc. is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this podcast shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Scott Tucker Solutions, Inc.